We all remember our first time. There was a time in our lives where we didn't watch anime. And if you're anything like me, you probably avoided anime like the plague. It can sometimes be hard to remember when you're actually really into anime, but anime has a bit of a stigma attached to it, and that can be really hard to overcome for some people. Anime has certainly increased in popularity in recent years, but that stigma still hasn't fully disappeared. You may have friends that aren't into anime, but you'd like to get them into it in the same way that a friend of yours may have originally gotten you into anime. There are plenty of options when it comes to anime for getting someone into this specific type of entertainment medium. My first anime was actually one of those popular choices. The first anime I watched, which was a result of my friend really trying hard to get me into anime, was Death Note. And after watching Death Note, all I could think about was Death Note. Yagami Light became my favourite character ever. In fact, I still consider him to be my favourite character in anime, although my favourite character of all time is probably Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. There was this really cool looking figure of both Ryuk and Light that I wanted to get even though I did not have the money to afford it. Watching Death Note was such a unique experience for me at the time. To see an animation that was very mature but not a comedy at all was something that I never realised that I needed. But after watching Death Note, I was hooked, and I haven't stopped watching anime since. However, there was one thing that I forgot about Death Note. Something that I remembered after one of my friends started watching it. The anime really sexualised Misa. Now this was something I completely forgot about. When I would think about Death Note, I would instantly think about how good Light and Al were as characters and about how good the story was. But when my friend brought that up, and I think she even dropped Death Note and hasn't watched anime since, I remembered that I also didn't like the sexualisation of Misa when I first watched it. And if anyone was wondering, my friend did like Death Note's story and characters, but she just couldn't get past how they presented Misa, and that's the reason why I think we need to rethink what anime we should recommend to beginners. I would still say Death Note is a fantastic choice to beginners, but it clearly isn't going to work for everyone. When you watch enough anime, you eventually get desensitized to all the sexualization and fan service, and you don't even notice it anymore. I'm a big fan of the BLEACH anime, and every week after an episode of 1000 Year Blood War had aired, I would always check what the response was from other people who had watched the episode. And there was this one guy who was always very critical of the episodes, and there was one episode that he went quite hard on, and it was the episode where Ichigo and Ishida had their big dramatic face-off with one another. One of his negatives for the episode was how Chad and Inoue entered the scene, because he said that Inoue entered the scene boobs first, and I remember thinking, no, she didn't, she definitely... Okay, I guess she did. Somehow I missed that, and the reason I missed it is most likely because I had become desensitized to it. Now if I'm missing that, what else am I missing in these shows? The point is, just because something doesn't bother you, doesn't mean it won't bother someone else. Enter SpyxFamily, the anime that I believe is perfect for beginners. First of all, it doesn't have any sexualization in it as far as I'm aware, although as been made clear in this video, I obviously don't always notice it. The closest this anime comes to sexualization is a couple of shots of Yor, like maybe her chest is peeking into a shot or something, but that's really rare, and she's not the focus of these shots, so I doubt it would bother anyone, but who knows, everyone is different. It's not just the lack of sexualization that makes SpyxFamily, in my opinion, the perfect start anime for you or one of your friends. It's the fact that SpyxFamily seems to be one of those rare few things that anyone and everyone seems to like. SpyxFamily follows Agent Twilight, the greatest spy in the world, and the man trying to keep the peace between Westalis and Astania. For his latest mission, Twilight must take up the identity of loidxyor and begin a family so that he can infiltrate Eden's school and get close to Donovan Desmond, a man who rarely appears in public, his son's school being one of the rare occasions. Donovan wants to create war between the two nations due to his belief that people can never understand each other, so there's no point in pretending for peace. To succeed in his mission, Lloyd goes to a terrible orphanage and adopts Anya, a little girl who just so happens to be a telepath. And through Anya's meddlings, Yor, this very meek, shy woman, joins the family as a pretend wife and mother. However, Yor has her own secret like Lloyd and Anya, and that's that she is an assassin and also somehow has superhuman strength. Throw in a dog that can see into the future and you have the perfect cast of characters to save the world. SpyxFamily works so well because it is a very wholesome, sweet anime with lots of cute and heartwarming moments. At the same time, these moments feel very bittersweet because everything is a facade. The moment her mission is over, Lloyd plans to return Anya to the orphanage and end his pretend marriage with Yor. As a viewer, you desperately want the family to become a real one, and you can tell that the characters want it for themselves too. Anya obviously wants Lloyd and Yor to stay her parents because she's an orphan, and has been all alone up to this point. Yor wants them to be a family because she very quickly develops true feelings for both Anya and Lloyd. The only stick in the mud is Lloyd. Whilst it is very clear how both Anya and Yor feel, Lloyd is the one who keeps his emotions in check, and it means that we as a viewer never truly know how he is feeling, even though it does seem like he is slowly beginning to care more and more for both Anya and Yor. This is the main reason why I think Spy Family is the perfect beginner anime, because it's able to brilliantly juggle different tones. It's much better at balancing tones than I'm used to seeing in anime. One minute you could be laughing hysterically because Anya is trying to learn how maths works, and the next you can feel your eyes beginning to tear up a little as Anya gets legitimately upset that she might lose her family. This is a very silly anime, but also an emotionally affecting one too. It can also get very serious at times. People die in this anime every now and then. I mean, Yor is an assassin. Although this does bring me to my biggest complaint with the anime's first season. I know that it's called Spy Family, so it makes sense that we get to see a lot of Lloyd's spy activities and the family bonding together, but we never really get to see much of Yor's assassin work. Outside of her introduction, I don't think that we've actually seen Yor do an assassin job. Which is a little strange, as we've had a few episodes dedicated to Lloyd doing a spy mission and Anya going to school, but Yor's assassinating, something that she is doing throughout the anime, never really takes the focus. We get to see Lloyd balancing his family life with his spy job and how draining it is for him, but we have no idea how Yor is able to both go around murdering people and showing up back home to burn everyone's dinner. We literally get to see Lloyd go on side missions, but Yor's assassinating just hasn't really come up yet. And I do have questions about Yor's work. Someone calls her up to do her job, but who is it? How does he call her up now that she lives with Lloyd and Anya? And most importantly, how is she able to both be an assassin, do her day job, and be a mom? It's very possible that Yor's night job will play a larger role in the anime in the future. I have heard that Yor will play a big role in Season 2. I just found it a little puzzling that we've seen so little of it compared to both Lloyd's spy activities and Anya's shenanigans in Season 1. Fortunately, pretty much everything else about this anime is fantastic. The animation, in particular, is spectacular. Wit Studio and Cloverworks are two very well-renowned studios in the anime community, and they both bring their A-game to this anime. Wit Studio has always been considered a great studio ever since they first stepped onto the scene with Attack on Titan over 10 years ago. The moment I found out Wit was involved in this anime, I knew that it would be a must-watch. Cloverworks, on the other hand, have had a bit of a more troubled history. Their animation has always been considered incredible, but they are a studio that have dropped the ball in the past. Luckily, it seems that the studio have gone past the days of Wonder Egg Priority and the Promised Neverland Season 2. Their work on both My Dress Up Darling and Bocce the Rock, as well as Spy Family, have really cemented them as one of the best studios working in the anime industry at the moment, and I think they've done a magnificent job, alongside Wit Studio, of giving Spy Family the adaptation that it deserves. This is another reason why I think Spy Family is a good beginner's anime. Some anime don't have the best animation, but they're still worth watching because they either have good characters or story. However, not everyone is willing to watch an anime if the animation isn't at a certain standard. That's why Spy Family is a great anime for someone to start with, as they definitely won't be put off by the animation here, as it is beautiful. I also think the soundtrack in Spy Family is great. It reminds me of the Incredibles movies. It just perfectly fits the vibe of the show. I don't usually pay much attention to soundtracks in shows, but Spy Family stuck out to me in a very good way. Plus, I love the bad whistle version of the OST that plays whenever Anya starts imagining how she's going to save the world. Also, the opening and ending songs were very good for this anime. Not my favourite by any means, but two solid openings in terms of song and visuals, accompanied by two equally solid ending songs. I touched on it a little earlier in the video, but this anime's greatest strength is its characters. There's a bit of a debate as to who the protagonist of this anime is, with people arguing over whether it is Lloyd or Anya. No one's arguing it's Yor, since she gets slightly less focus than the other two. But regardless of whether you see one of the characters as the lead or view the show as much more of an ensemble, our leading trio are all great characters. Lloyd is personally my favourite character. He's the coolest, but also in my opinion the most complex. Both Anya and Yor want their family to become a reality, and I feel Lloyd does too, but he ultimately prioritises his mission and pushes down his own feelings for the sake of the mission. It also helps that the anime does a great job of showing how skilled he is as a spy. He's smart and resourceful and is always able to say exactly the right thing in every situation. Also, the animation sometimes goes really hard for some of his scenes, which makes him look even more like a badass. Anya is undoubtedly the most popular character to come out of the anime. She pulls some of the most memeable faces I've ever seen and is genuinely just a really funny character. The anime also does the nigh unbelievable task of having a child feel like a child. Actually, most of the kid characters in this anime feel like kids, faults and all. There are a couple kid characters who didn't really feel like children, but I think most viewers will understand why it's okay for those certain characters to come across that way. But back to Anya. She's a brilliant character, and your mood will most likely align with however she is feeling in a scene. If she's happy, you're happy. If she's on the verge of tears, then you're on the verge of tears. It can be difficult to not have a kid character be annoying, but Spy Family pulled it off with Anya and the rest of the child characters. Then there's Yor. Yor is a juxtaposition of a person. She's this very sweet person who still thinks that her first kiss tastes like lemon, and yet she's also this brutal killing machine that fantasizes about different types of knives. Whilst an assassin, Yor is a very kind person and does her best not to cause issues for other people. She's so innocent that she often doesn't realise that people are making fun of or taking advantage of her, or at the very least she doesn't retaliate against it. I like that whereas Lloyd has put up a wall between himself and the family, Yor has slid perfectly into the mother position and even views herself as Anya's real mother. However, if anyone could break down the wall to Lloyd's heart, then it's Yor. She clearly has the strength to knock down a wall or two. It's not just the main characters that are great in this anime, but the side characters too. There's too many to mention, so I'll focus on the standout of the supporting cast, Damien, the main antagonist's second son. Initially, Damien comes across like a little a-hole, but the more we discover about him, the more we both like and sympathise with him. I mean, he's literally the son of the show's villain. It shouldn't be surprising that, whilst privileged, his home life isn't the best. Just knowing that his parents didn't show up for his picture at school was a little heartbreaking. That's something I forgot to bring up with the main cast, their relatability. The reason you sympathise with Anya and Damien is because we've all been children, and we all know how important our parents are to us. Obviously not everyone is lucky enough to have good parents, but the reason you sympathise with Damien is because we can all understand how much it would hurt to have our parents not be interested in us. Or Anya's sadness over losing her family. You can also relate to Lloyd and Yor for different reasons, as we've all had to deal with children in some way, shape or form, and can understand their frustrations or remember being a kid have to deal with the frustrations of a parent. The characters are all well written, and the scenarios the characters face outside of murder and espionage are ones that most viewers can relate to. That's another reason why it's a good anime to start with. The final reason why I think this is a good anime for beginners is because this is an anime where you can ship the characters. I know that shipping can be really annoying, usually because someone will ship two characters that have no right to be together, and then they will get mad at you for not seeing the invisible red thread of fate that they see between the characters. Fortunately, SpyxFamily gets past this by having two ships that will probably happen. The first is Lloyd and Yor. Everyone wants these two to get together, and they obviously have feelings for each other. This is a ship that is perfectly safe to root for because the anime is leading towards the two declaring their feelings for each other, and the second ship is between Damien and Anya. This one is safe to root for too, as although there is no guarantee that Damien and Anya will get together in the end, it is extremely obvious that Damien likes Anya. Essentially, if you're the type of person who can't help but ship characters, then this anime is perfect for you because no one will get mad at you for wanting to ship these characters. By the way, I want to make it clear that me saying that SpyxFamily is a perfect anime for beginners is not a negative in any way. Some people might misconstrue it as such because some people view things that are very niche as being better and things that are more mainstream and popular as bad. Therefore, some could view me saying that SpyxFamily is a good beginner anime also meaning that it is a lesser anime that people need to get through to get to the good stuff later on. That couldn't be further from the truth. SpyxFamily is a perfect anime for anyone, whether you be a new fan or an old one. It has wonderful characters embarking on an engaging narrative that is beautifully animated by two of the best animation studios working right now. The voice acting is top notch, especially for the main trio. Anya was cast perfectly, and it was impressive that both Lloyd and Yor felt like actual characters to me since they have the same voice actors as Hikigaya Hachiman and Yukinoshita from My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. Hachiman's relationship with Yukino feels completely different to Lloyd's relationship with Yor, and when I saw Lloyd and Yor, I only saw them. I never saw Hachiman or Yukino, which is a sign of great voice acting. SpyxFamily is an anime for everyone. It could be the gateway to get you or your friend into anime, but it could also be another phenomenal anime that you watch after years of watching bangers. If you haven't, make sure to watch SpyxFamily because it is ace. Before you leave, could you do me a favour and hit the like and subscribe button? If it makes you feel any better about doing it, we could pretend that it's your own mission that you need to complete. Also, I'd love to receive a comment from you below, even if it's just a simple mission accomplished. Anyway, what was your first anime? What got you into anime? Do you still like the first anime that you saw? In fact, is SpyxFamily your first anime? Also, who do you think would win in a fight, Lloyd or Yor? For me, it's a Batman vs Superman scenario, and since Lloyd is the Batman in the scenario, then he'd probably win. Although in a straight fight with no prep time, then Yor could probably clinch it. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. You can still say mission accomplished afterwards too if it makes you feel better. But that's all the juice that I have in the can for today, so I'm going to have to say goodbye. Goodbye.